We don't need cars from Canada. We don't need energy from Canada. We don't need anything from Canada.
Okay, it may now be a little harder for you to get international packages shipped to the U.S. Now, multiple postal services across Europe, including Germany, Denmark, Sweden, and Italy, have stopped shipping most merchandise to the U.S.
A seismic shift is reshaping global commerce as 7 major markets turn away from American products, marking what many consider the first real crack in America's economic dominance since the Cold War. From Brazil to Japan, from Europe to the Gulf states, international buyers are quietly rewriting contracts and abandoning their longtime loyalty to made-in-America goods. The transformation began with whispers in trade circles, but has evolved into a comprehensive rejection that spans continents. American products, once symbols of quality and innovation, now carry labels of unreliability and inflexibility. As U.S. corporations struggle with delays, cost overruns, and compliance failures, Canada has emerged as the quiet beneficiary, stepping into the void with steady reliability. Multiple European postal services, including those in Germany, Denmark, Sweden, and Italy, have stopped shipping most merchandise to the United States. This dramatic move reflects a broader sentiment that American business practices have become incompatible with modern international standards. Brazil offers the clearest example of this shift. Popular American snacks like Pringles and Oreos have disappeared from prime supermarket displays, replaced by Canadian alternatives that now occupy 43% more shelf space in just 1 quarter. Kellogg's, once a household favorite across Latin America's largest consumer market, saw its Brazilian revenue plunge by 16% in a single year. Local shoppers increasingly view Canadian products as more reliable, transparent, and aligned with modern consumer expectations. Australia reveals the cultural dimension of this realignment. For decades, American denim and casual wear defined youth style in Sydney and Melbourne. Now, Canadian apparel brands have surged ahead with a 28% increase in sales across major cities, while U.S. clothing lines slumped by 15%. Retailers cite slow deliveries, rigid contracts, and American companies' inability to adapt to changing consumer demands. Canadian labels are seen as responsive, culturally sensitive, and more attuned to local trends. Asia and the Middle East present even starker evidence of America's declining influence. In India, U.S. processed food imports fell by 17% in just 5 months, while Canadian suppliers filled the void with a 31% surge. Across the Gulf, stricter halal requirements in the UAE sidelined major American brands, creating space for Canadian companies like Jameson Vitamins, which saw sales jump 42%. Even Japan, long intertwined with U.S. trade, witnessed Canadian goods surge 17% in the first half of 2025, while American products faltered amid delivery delays and mislabeling scandals. Europe delivered the harshest verdict through regulatory compliance. In France, Canadian household goods surged 26% while American imports tumbled 18%. The shift wasn't consumer preference but compliance reality. Canadian companies swiftly adjusted to EU labeling and sustainability rules, while American firms remained mired in outdated practices. Germany's widely circulated report criticizing chemicals in U.S. goods sparked a 33% rise in Canadian imports for groceries and personal care. The most striking aspect of this decline is that America wasn't pushed out by competitors or foreign governments. The United States walked away through its own mistakes. Contracts with American firms, once guarantees of stability, now appear inflexible and outdated. Delivery times lag behind global competitors operating with leaner supply chains. Sudden price hikes have become hallmarks of American supply, eroding trust precisely when buyers face rising costs. More damaging is the reputational crisis. U.S. products consistently fail to meet the higher health, safety, and environmental standards dominating 21st century trade. Where competitors innovated to meet consumer demand for cleaner inputs and transparent processes, American firms doubled down on legacy systems. This projected a culture of arrogance, suggesting U.S. companies expected compliance from others rather than adapting themselves. The narrative flipped completely. Made in America no longer meant innovation and durability, but inflexibility and imposition. The rejection happened silently through individual consumer choices. Shelves were rearranged, contracts quietly rewritten, and buyers looked elsewhere. This wasn't a political boycott but a market verdict, a collective decision that better options existed. Canada positioned itself as the intelligent alternative by embracing long-term thinking over quarterly margins. Canadian exporters leaned into values global buyers increasingly prized: transparent sourcing, environmentally responsible production, recyclable packaging, and cultural sensitivity beyond marketing slogans. When European regulators tightened chemical disclosure rules, Canadian firms reformulated and relabeled within weeks. In the Gulf, they collaborated with religious authorities on halal certification. In Japan, they guaranteed delivery windows matching the country's precise logistics culture. These seemingly small adjustments created Canada's reputation as a country that listens, adapts, and delivers. The pattern repeated across Brazil, Australia, India, the UAE, Japan, France, and Germany. Canada wasn't simply filling vacated American spaces, but redefining partnership standards. Canadian goods became the safer, cleaner, more dependable option with a national brand combining competence with humility. Ottawa understood what Washington overlooked: trade policy symbolism. While America wielded tariffs as blunt weapons, Canada treated trade frictions as opportunities to prove reliability and reinforce trust. Temporary stopgap measures evolved into lasting footholds, transforming Canada from secondary exporter to preferred first partner. Current projections suggest tariffs alone could reduce U.S. GDP by 0.3 percentage points and eliminate over 400,000 jobs. These numbers translate into shuttered factories, shrinking paychecks, and entire communities losing economic footing. Meanwhile, Canada has absorbed similar shocks while gaining international trust. New trade agreements are being signed without Washington involvement, an unthinkable scenario just one generation ago. The warning signs couldn't be clearer. America faces a choice between recognizing that inflexibility, not Canada, is its real adversary, or continuing down a path toward international irrelevance. For the first time in decades, the United States risks standing outside while others set global trade rules. This shift represents more than temporary market fluctuation. It signals a fundamental reordering of international commerce where reliability, adaptability, and cultural respect matter as much as traditional economic power. The question now is whether American leadership will acknowledge these realities before the damage becomes irreversible.